I've been with Baristanet since 2005. That makes me almost a founder, right?
That's true.
Started out as a reporter and writer and photographer, and then I morphed about 6 years later into a full-time advertising salesperson. I am the only advertising salesperson for Baristanet and Barista Kids and a couple other things, which I'll tell you about later. And I love my work because it helps me connect with the community, which is what Baristanet was founded, on which the basis that Baristanet was founded, connecting with the community and building a community. So I typically go to all the new businesses in town, introduce myself, and if they're not familiar with Baristanet, I let them know what it's all about and start building a relationship with them in that way. And I just want to ask a question. How many of you are ready to sell ads tomorrow? Okay. And how many of you are planning to do it yourself or have salespeople?
Well,
do it yourself. Do it yourself. How many do it yourself? Salespeople. Okay. All right. All right. So basically, we're going to start from scratch. I think looking back on my experience, what gave me a real edge in approaching people was I started out as a reporter and a writer for Baristanet. I knew the product inside out. I knew the trolls. I knew our audience. I knew what they liked. I knew what they reacted to from the comments and just from buzz in the street. A lot of it is very anecdotal, what you pick up, but you have to be very sensitive to that. Debbie nailed me as a salesperson. While I was doing the reporting, she said, "Oh, you'd be good selling ads," and it kind of was a natural thing. If you like talking to people, if you're not afraid to approach them, if you have a good product to sell, which we did, it's a no-brainer. You know, there's nothing to be embarrassed about asking them for money if you've got something to give them in return. All right. One of the biggest things you have to think about in selling is, do you like approaching people like that? Do you like talking? Can you listen to them? Because listening is very important. Listen to what their needs are. You need to establish a relationship with them first, get them to know you, to like you, and to trust you. Because sales in advertising is all about trust. So with that fundamental basis behind you, you can go out and conquer the world. You can identify your audience and go after products directly related or services or companies which will benefit from exposure to your audience. And that's what I did is, instead of going through the yellow pages and just randomly talking to people or calling and making cold calls, I would actually say, well, what is our community like? What is their interest? Okay, it was food, real estate, entertainment, and education. So I went after those kind of businesses first. I said, we have an audience made up of parents, families, lots of children. So it's, you put A and B together and come out with C. It's pretty much obvious who you're going to target. I wasn't going to go to the dry cleaner. I was going to go to the SAT prep courses. I was going to go to the swimming schools. I was going to go to the family restaurants, and started building our business that way. It all just kind of unfolded, and the more you know about your community and what their needs are, the easier it is to target and make your time, I'm the only ad salesperson there, so I can't just go pound the pavement and randomly knock on doors. I have to be very strategic in who I target to get the biggest bang for my effort. One thing that was, we're in a music and art-centric community, so I went after and got, I'm happy to say, NJPAC, Castor Theater at Montclair State, New Jersey Symphony, Bergen PAC, Mayo PAC. Did I forget anyone else? And occasionally the Wellmont. They're a little bit tough sell. That just seems to go well with the vibe of our site and our readership. And then the other thing I wanted to say is we did come up with a price sheet, and laying out your ads is really important. You want your website to look nice. And so we have 3 or 4 basic sizes on different pages, and we priced it according to the size of the ad and the page it was on. And therefore we have a price range of $100 to $1,600. And that gives you extreme flexibility when you're talking to someone about, what's it going to cost, and oh, I can't afford it. Well, you can't afford it, and there's always a price point that you can make work for your client. My strategy when bringing on a new client with a new business on board, I say, I'd rather see you spend $300 a month for 6 months than $1,600 a month for 1 month, because it's all about repetition, longevity, and brand recognition. And I'm just extremely honest. I don't BS people, and if I don't think their service will work on our website, I give them information, but I don't push it, because in the end, you're going to have an unhappy customer. You want to have someone say, oh yeah, I got great results, and let them talk about your website to other people. You want to say something?
Yeah, okay. So, my name is Sylvia. How are you? Good afternoon, everyone. And you have no idea that I'm so happy and proud to be next to Baristanet. Okay, next to the people who actually create Baristanet, because that was kind of my motivation like 3 years ago when I met Debbie. And I started the same way maybe that you guys started. I still don't think that I made it yet, but this is my second year, in July 28th, matter of fact. But I can't believe that is happening. And I'm gonna share with you, I don't consider myself an expert, but I think that I went through a learning curve, wasting a lot of money, a lot of time, energy, hours, that I think that finally I kind of put together with my husband something that is working out finally. Finally, really, had no idea. So my experience with NJ Inside Out, which is the publication I own with my husband, is in Elizabeth, New Jersey, in Union County, as a matter of fact. And we cover only like 10 towns. We don't cover much. We focus on Elizabeth because, as you know, Elizabeth is very, everything happens there. It's very urban, very ethnic, multicultural, a lot of bad things happen, you can say that. You're recording, the mayor's gonna hate me more. Anyway, so, but we cover also the towns around. So, at the beginning, everything started with myself because I'm a journalist, like all of you. But we need money because you have to understand something. This is not something that you're gonna do because you feel good at it, like, oh my God, it makes me feel so good. No, you had to do this as a business. And that's the thing, one of the problems that we journalists sometimes face is like, oh my God, I don't want to go and ask for money because it's just next week or next month. And who's going to pay the bills in the meanwhile? Honestly. So that's the reason why I was like, I started this in Spanish because as you can hear, my English is not the first language and writing is worse, so don't even go there. But I was like, okay. So I started in Spanish. Then when I did the transition in English, and then I hired someone. And then I have free time to sell ads. So when I started selling ads, I was like, wow, people are buying this. So if people are buying this, it's because it's a meaningful thing, meaning whatever I'm doing is working. I started selling like $100, okay? And then I start increasing, and then I start increasing the readership, I start increasing the price, and now it ranges between $100 to $600 the ad. Now you asking me how I did that. As I say, I don't think that I have the secret, but what is being working is that you need to be part of the community, 100%. 100%. People need to, you have to be, like Latinos, we say, you have to be the rice. Ser como el arroz. In every single place. You have something in the park, go. You have something for soccer for the high school kids, go. It's something about Boys and Girls Club, YMCA, YWCA, every single thing. I know it's tired, I know it's horrible because sometimes you don't sleep, you have to be working like 18 hours a day, which maybe you're already doing, but you need to be part of the community because when they see you, and then you have your business cards, of course, all of you must have a business card, so otherwise don't even look at me right now because I don't know. Then you go on and you approach and you say, listen, I'm Sylvia, how are you? I'm a publisher of the report or whoever you want to say from inside out. Do you check inside out? No,
Can I buy an ad,
haven't.
please?
Oh, and then I bring my iPad all the time. Oh, look, this is inside out. As a matter of fact, we're mobile too. Let me show you what we have. Oh, actually, do you know that today there was a fire or there was a car accident? Really? What time? They want to know because it's their neighborhood. Oh my God, that's 2 blocks away from my house. Oh, I'm gonna register. Don't worry. What is your email address? I register myself. There you go. Boom. You're gonna receive tomorrow the newsletter. Oh, thank you. They start receiving the newsletter and they're like, thank you, Sylvia, very much for registering me. Oh, that's great, no problem. As a matter of fact, let me send you my media kit. Maybe you will be interested in some advertising. We have very, very flexible prices. Oh, sure, I send it out and 1 week later, it's like, Sylvia, you think that I can have $100 ad? Sure, not a problem. Okay, send you the contract, 6 months contract, sign it, and then send it back. If you want, I can go and pick it up, the contract, because I always do things with contracts. So that's kind of how it's been working, is having my card, having my iPad all the time with me to show my product, because that's my baby, and you have to be proud of it. And then, as I say, you have to go to every single place. Like today, I'm very sporty because I'm going to soccer after this. So, and then I'm gonna give my business cards to people. So I think that, as I say, I don't have a secret. I don't have, because I don't think that I made it yet. One day I will be like Baristanet. But you have to be in every single place. I think that's the most important thing. People have to like, oh, Sylvia again. Yes, it's me again. Every single place. That's what it is. I think that's what is the most important part. Another thing, maybe a lot of you are very tired of doing this by yourself. Yes, you're right. You need a partner. I'm sorry if you are like, this is my team. Nobody's gonna take over. You need a partner. I have a partner, Jerry DeMarco. I don't know if you know about Jerry or you heard about him. He's my partner. English is not my language. I had to set my limitations. What I'm good? Talking, smiling, selling. I'm good technical. I know WordPress and CSS and HTML and all the stuff, making videos. Good. That's what I'm going to do. That's what I'm going to focus. I'm not going to be writing an article that's going to take me 6 hours when Jerry does it in 20 minutes. I got to be very honest. So you guys are good writing? Good. Why you don't try to look for someone and offer them some part of the business? Say, listen, let's do a partnership, but a business person. I'm very well known in the community. Like a mom who is in the PTA or soccer mom, someone that people like her, like, whatever she said, people follow her. Listen, I'm going to give you 25% of my business. Yes, you have to let it go. But let's work together. And that's what I think that you guys have to, my recommendation, that was for me, like, when Jerry jumped in this, I don't even know what he writes. I gotta be very honest with you. Today, and that's one of the deals that we made. It's like, listen, because he told me, you do not interfere in my editorial. I say, okay, but we always have this deal. But when I send you an email and I say to you that you need to cover this, you have to cover because it's for a client. He's like, deal. And that's the second part I'm gonna tell you. Once we have a client, we treat him as a king. First thing, for example, Lincoln Tech. Lincoln Tech, okay, Sylvia, what you can offer besides your 800,000 page views a month, which is good for a small town, like Elizabeth and the surrounding areas. Okay, Dr. McQuall, I think it is kind of very hard, difficult. What about if we write a very successful story about your kids, the ones that are in the Lincoln Tech studying right now? Oh my God, I love it, Sylvia, thank you. So try to sell something else, but it's, meaning you don't are like selling that, but you make a part of it. You understand? It's like, okay, let's create something that these people are in need, but they don't say it, but it's kind of like implicit. So they feel so happy that we're writing a story about 2 kids that were in welfare, and now, no kids, but they're like 21, 22. that they are now studying in the Lincoln Tech, and they're gonna be graduating, and they're gonna be graduating with jobs. Isn't that a nice story that everybody will say, oh my God, this is great?
But what if Lincoln Tech was involved in a scandal?
That's different.
But what would you do?
What I will do, I don't giving up for anything. I will, because I'm the one who offers to write a story.
Right.
They don't say it to me, because that's.
No, but what if Jerry finds it? I mean, what if one of your advertisers murders their wife?
Oh no, absolutely, we don't. That's something that Jerry at the end will call and say, Sylvia, and I will completely
You'd be a journalist first.
Respect that 100% because
Right.
he's the one who actually managed that.
Right.
So.
But one thing that I'm sorry, let me just jump in and you can.
I know what you're going to say.
And now we'll work.
Yeah? We have a different philosophy.
Okay,
Yeah,
yes.
Baristanet. I never promise editorial coverage when I sell an ad because you give them an inch, they want a mile. And it's two discrete operations. News is news and advertising is advertising. I say, well, I'm going to buy this ad for 6 months and spend $1,000. Are you going to write a story about me? I said, if something newsworthy happens in front of your store, if you fly a rocket ship to the moon and you're a resident of Montclair, yeah, we'll write about it. But I'm not just going to write about, your dry cleaning services because you use green products. No, it has to be relevant because it looks like we're just paying them off,
But one thing that we did do, and I don't know if you're still doing this, is we created a feature called "And Now a Word for Our Sponsors," which we created a graphic that went with, and it was very transparent. This is a word for our sponsors, and it would be things like the cheese shop is having a cheese sale this weekend, and it'd be something that wouldn't rise to the naturally to the level of a story, otherwise, but. It was fair game. I never saw any resistance with that because it was so fairly labeled.
Right. The other thing we do are the sponsored posts, which are advertorials.
But the other thing that you do is when you write a story about a successful thing about, let's say, Lincoln Tech or any of those people, you actually make a disclaimer that this is your client.
That's right.
So people know that you are not deceiving them, and
Right.
that's the thing that we do. What happened is I think that we had two business models that are different.
Yeah.
In my case, I find out that we, in Elizabeth and the areas around, we need to become a marketing agency. Otherwise, we won't survive. We won't survive, and that's very clear like water. So I have a client who has a restaurant. He has $5,000, $10,000 for advertising. He doesn't know what to do with it. I gotta come here and said, okay, Omar, what do you want to do? I want to make a video, I want a website, I want a Facebook page, and I want all my Cuban plates to be all over New Jersey. Not a problem. I take care of you. So that's what I do. What I do is, after finding out that was something that was not planned, that organically happened, I found out that they need my services as a marketing agency. So we create the logo, we create the website, we create the Facebook page, the Instagram, the Twitter, we make the video, we publish in nj.com, we publish in our own website, and we put a commercial in Cablevision. So we packaged the whole thing, and we took the $10,000 coming to my company, which is the marketing agency, and then we give the money to the other companies. That's what I'm saying, that we have two different business models. Because we cannot survive only because we are so small. Elizabeth only has 125,000 people, and the surrounding areas maybe like another 150,000 altogether. So it's different than targeting whole New Jersey or targeting another region.
That's actually a pretty big region compared to a lot of ours, but it's maybe less rich. Less upscale, and that's an advantage, obviously, in a place like Montclair. And so that's quite different. I mean, one thing that I think that you'll notice about both of these ladies is they are incredibly personable, incredibly likable. They like to talk, and they like their product, right?
Yes.
And that but the other thing that Sylvia did say was that once she found Jerry here through our CJET program, and as somebody who could do more content for her, it freed her up to sell. Same thing with
So now
Annette.
I'm-
Same thing with Annette.
Yeah.
Annette was a writer and a daily editor for us, and we used her a lot as a writer. And it suddenly we realized she had this magic ability to sell ads. It's a lot easier to find writers than it is to find good salespeople.
That's exactly what I told them. I said, find some writers and I'll just do this full time.
Yeah.
Because
But now talk a little bit about, because I also feel like I have a pretty good personality and likable, like to talk to people and so forth, but I never had that ability to go in for the, for the, what do you call it?
Close.
A close.
You're not a closer.
I know you can't, yeah, so what does it take to be a closer? How do you do that in that?
persistence, understanding what your client needs. I would say for every sale, I have to make 5 to 10 phone calls. I have an excellent client management system called Capsule, which now I used to write off on legal pads and stick post-it notes here. Call him on Thursday. Call her next week. And now it's all automated, which is awesome. I get an email every day saying, and I set it up like contact so-and-so to follow up, send them an email, call, whatever. And that really helps me keep on top of things.
But in addition to that, there must be an imperviousness to rejection in the word no. Because other of us could set up the same system, but would feel embarrassed to keep coming back, or would feel like, I'm gonna be a journalist and I'm gonna ask this person, I don't wanna be a nudge. So, I mean, what is it in your personality that allows you to be a nudge and come back 5 times, 10 times?
Well, I start off by trying to get to know the potential client. I strike up a conversation about something in common. Oh, you opened up a Cuban restaurant. I love Cuban food. Or I saw your fantastic poster that you guys printed. It's all over town. And if we're at the stage where they're contemplating advertising on our website, they think they're interested, I say, well, do you have a budget? You kind of fish around, ask a lot of questions. Say, if you advertise, how long would you advertise for? Is there a particular season that you want to advertise versus another when you don't have the money for it? And based on all those kind of clues, they might say, well, I'm not ready, let me think about it. And I say, when can I call you back? And that's the key question. If they say, call me back in 3 weeks, you have an excuse to call them back. There's no reason to be embarrassed. Or if they say, don't call me till October, I go, fine, put it in my computer, and I get an email to myself, October 1st, call this guy. So, I don't.
August or October?
Pardon me?
Call early. Did you say August or
No,
October?
October.
October, yeah. No, sometimes they say, call me next year, Sometimes they say, we've just finished our media buys for this year. Our planning cycle starts in May, and this will be in August or June or whatever. So I say, okay, well, we'll call you next May, and I put a note in the computer, and I get a reminder about that. And I say, now I'm at the beginning of your business cycle, your media planning buy cycle. I want you to include Baristanet in your plans.
But, you don't want to, I wouldn't minimize the resilience aspect, the ability to take the no.
Right.
And
Yes.
a lot of that, and you kind of heard it what they were saying, that I hear good salespeople talk about is if you really believe in your product and you believe that what you have is going to help that customer, that's what you're coming back to.
Yeah.
Because when they're
But
saying
I
no,
also
you
think-
still
I don't think
believe
that
it.
nobody else can sell the product better than you.
Right.
I was
That's
going to
what
say, but you know what, you are the owner. I was going to say that in the same sense that an author uses an agent, and an agent can play hardball and sell for an author, that was more like the relationship for you. It felt a little bit when I was the publisher out there that I was a little embarrassed to be trying to shake down people, but that was your job.
Yeah.
But you are the publisher, so you
Yes.
don't have any problem with that.
No.
Well, she's bringing value to the marketplace.
No,
you
I
know?
think like for example to do the closing, I always says, what is your budget? That's it. I have $50 a month. No problem. Let's do it. No,
Yeah.
seriously.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
And even if the
Let's do it.
even if the
What
published
is
rate
the-
sheet,
what is the
I make
budget?
deals.
I think that's the
Yeah.
question because they always have a budget. They always have it. It can be $50. You'd rather have $50 or $100 a month than have nothing coming from that client.
Yeah.
So remember, so where's your budget? Tell me so I can help you.
Well,
Or
part
so-
of it is
or-
ad design, right? Because it was really designing that page to have that range from $100 to $1,600, and then it is very rich. It's a very high rate, but there are advertisers that want the top spot,
Yeah.
and they want that, they can afford it, and they'll buy it.
The
Whereas-
NJ Packs of the world, the ShopRites
Yes.
of the world, Montclair Business Development, they want those top spots.
Just like there are people who spend $800 on a bag, on a purse, right? And there are
Yes.
other people who spend $50 on a purse. There's
Like-
somebody out there spending $800.
Like, for example, we receive an email from the New Jersey, New York and New Jersey Port Authority. I was like, wow. I just like, I would like to have an ad.
You're going to
this and
sell
this
ads
size.
to the Port Authority?
Yeah, actually, but that was something that was not meant to be. I don't know how it happened. I think that she found out because she needed to have a meeting about a study
Oh.
in Linden.
Oh,
and she
okay.
needed people to know around Linden that's going to be a study, so people will have to go to the meetings and all of that. And I was like, $500? And she said, okay. I never saw $500 on one ad, but I did because, it's a big company. But you don't do the same thing to a small client. And besides, the sizes are totally different. A small client, and then we have the big top that is bigger.
Now, I was amazed to find out at our Christmas party that you told that you sell into NJ.com on behalf
Yes.
of, and you get the commission.
Yes.
So there's something you can learn, Annette.
Yes.
Explain it.
How does that work?
As I say, I work as a marketing agency, and this guy has his budget, and he was like, because remember, these people live around me. I don't want them to see me tomorrow. Sylvia, you took money away from me. And they're going to be very upset. So I had to make it work. Whatever they have, $1,000, $2,000 budget, I got to take it as my money and I say, what is the best thing that I can do with this money, even if it's not putting in my own website? Because I know that I'm going to see these people next month, and I don't want to have a dirty look. So what I did was, managing to put it to Cablevision and J.com on my website, which worked out for something that he wanted to do, bring people from Staten Island actually for the holidays. So it worked out well. And I got, of course, the 15% off from NJ.com, the commission.
Make money another way.
I think you have to become creative.
So, can I ask, how did you set this up financially when you asked her to stop being a reporter and now you have full-time ad sales? How did you structure it? What's it like to bring someone in?
She
I mean,
did
if
it on
we-
commission.
Just
She
pure
does it on
commission.
Just pure commission.
Yeah.
Straight
No
commission.
salary.
Straight commission, but
What kind
they're
of commission?
20%.
Oh.
There have been many months where Annette got the biggest paycheck of the month, including the partners, including the writers. If it turned out to be a pretty decent
Yeah.
deal for Annette as well as for us.
Good question. I can honestly see that the same traits needed for a good community reporter are the same exact ones needed for a good ad person. However, you guys also need to be more disciplined in some ways in terms of financial record keeping. And I don't know whether those talents, whether you have any back office, whether you can go out and sell the ads and then you go tell someone, oh, I sold, 8 billion ads here they are. Someone else takes care of the bookkeeping.
No, I take care of everything. In my case,
Right.
I do QuickBooks.
You do the books.
Completely, the whole thing. The only thing I give to my accountant is this is the final report. I have to learn it. That's what I'm saying. When I started, I went to sleep 3 in the morning. I woke up like 6 or 7 for almost 2 years. And that's when I found Jerry. And then thank God I have Jerry and a full-time reporter. So I create 2 full-time jobs actually.
You're a rare talent.
No, I don't think. I think that what it is that you need to free yourself. I mean, if you have in your heart that you're a salesperson, that you want to do it, you have to free yourself.
So do you want to explain the back end, how?
Yeah, the way we work is I sell the ad, I collect I try and do all the transactions with a credit card because then I have access to a terminal, a portal where I process the credit card transaction, and it's no fuss, no muss, the payment's gone through. That gets reported to our accountant, and at the end of the month, she tallies it up and says, okay, this payment came through, this is your commission, and she...
That's actually, it's not actually, is it still the same person? Is it still?
Amanda?
Amanda, she's not an accountant.
Oh,
I mean,
well,
so-
she's a bookkeeper.
But no, actually, I mean, this is interesting in that she was I don't know if she's getting paid now, but this was somebody who was very young, very organized, very good with a spreadsheet, who we could pay $15 an hour. This is, so an accountant, you would pay more, but who could organize all the information. And Joe has, Denise Cipoletti's husband, right, who was very disorganized. Sometimes, very often, the same traits that make a good salespeople are not, they're not the anal people of the world. But if you can support Annette with a $15 an hour employee who can, or contract worker, who can take that information and foolproof, put it into a spreadsheet that you can work off, and then, and ever since Amanda's done it, it's been very clean.
Well, let's hear the rest of the workflow. So you sell something, the credit card comes through, then how does the fulfillment happen? How does the ad get produced?
We have two options. The customer can either send me an ad ready to go that they've made, and I give them the specs. It's the pixel dimensions, 72 dpi, save in high quality JPEG. That's basically it. Or they ask me to make the ad for them, which we subcontract out to a guy in Verona. He charges us $50. We used to include that price in the price of the ad. Now I charge for it because I said enough.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Huh?
We actually do the same thing, I'm sorry to interrupt, but we don't charge the client now.
Well,
they have enough,
well,
that's what I think.
when I offered it for free, everyone wanted to do it, and it's can be a pain in the ass because they go back and forth with you and they say, I don't like that color. Well, what color do you want? A different shade of blue and my graphic designer goes crazy. You go through 5-6 iterations of it. But normally, if they want me to make the ad, I say, okay, I need logos, I need copy suggestions, I need your color preferences, I need your image, the pictures you want. And then it's up to me to put it all together and say, okay, this is what I'd write if I were you. Send it to them for approval. I said, this picture won't fit. Give me a horizontal picture rather than a vertical picture. And I do the graphic design concept, and then I send it to my designer, and he puts it together and chooses the font and the spacing and all that stuff.
And then what about inventory management? Like, how do you keep track of what spots are available, which ones are taken, and which ones are opening up next
I
month?
use a Google Calendar, and every sale program is logged into the Google Calendar, and there are bars, and if I put in for 6 months or 6 days or 6 weeks, and I can just simply look at the Google Calendar on a given day. If someone wants to start in our big box or our header on August 1st, I look and see if it's available. If it is, I plug it in, and away we go. And then our bookkeeper, Amanda, she also sends out invoices, because sometimes people want to pay by check. So then she sends out the invoices, and she copies me, and then sometimes I'm the bill chaser, or sometimes she's the bill chaser. It depends how far it goes.
And then do you actually physically put the ad into the spot, or do you have somebody who's got their hands on the pages actually put
Well, in the old days, someone would do it. Now I do it, and believe me, it's much easier to be in control of that yourself. That takes out another intermediary, another step, because you get the ad back, it's approved, presto change, in 30 seconds it's up on your ad server.
Do you guys both use Broad Street?
I do.
I request,
Broad
but
Street's
he's
awesome.
been very busy.
Oh,
I just want to pause here. But the reason I even bring this up about the workflow is not that we're going to figure this out for you today, but you just heard all the steps you're going to have to find a way to manage in your own system. So there's going to be the sales process, the payment process, the design process.
The approval process from the client, because you design it, but at the end, they had to approve it.
Yep, they got to approve it. The placement of the ad, or making sure you understand where all the inventory, the places are that you can put ads, and then who's going where and when they open up. So there's lots of different ways to do that, but it's just something to keep in mind about. It's a process to figure out. It's not rocket science.
Any other questions?
Nope.
Well, I was just going to say, as part of the research, not that I'm going to be doing, but that CUNY is going to be doing, they are going to look at doing a best practices sales workflow report, where they go out and interview a whole bunch of sales folks and local publishers about what their workflows are and try to figure out what's working best for people. So that's still probably 6 to 10 months out, but that's on the docket for a report that we'll produce with CUNY.
I use it just for everyone else. I use a web-based tool called Baristanet to create ads.
Right.
It has beautiful templates.
Right.
It does static and flash ads. For me, it's so easy that it's just a way to. I'm making it myself. I can just bake it in, and
You could charge them for that.
Yeah, like I could do
More
it
revenue.
for me to kind of like unlock the sales pipeline a little bit.
Right.
I've been doing it.
Right.
And I actually walk into sales calls with like sample ads created, and I just say, this is what it looks like. And I found that it just makes the
I have to
conversation
say,
so much easier.
I tried it after you mentioned it at the last event, and it is extremely easy. Also Canva.com is really good.
Similar.
What's that? Canva is actually more for, I would say more for Flash.
There
Okay,
is also
Baristanet?
there is also a ad network I use. I forgot almost to mention that. They pay me $1,000 every month without doing anything. Okay, the name is Local Joko. I don't know if you heard about it. If you Google it, Local Joko,
Yokel?
Joko, YOCAL at.
KEL,
Yes.
KEL.
YOKEL.
Yes.
Local YOKEL.
Local yokel.
Okay, that's based on how many visitors you have a month. So you just call them, they make sure that you're a real website, that you exist, and how many visitors, they make their own research, and they say, okay, you're set up. And then you create your own account and everything, and they pay you based on how many visits you have. Sometimes if you have 200,000 page views a month, then they will pay you some certain money. They will send you check or they will send you PayPal. And that's what I use because sometimes I have in my website, like the very end, like 10 spots available, and I didn't know what to do with it because it looks like empty. And then I have the information. I was like, what should I do? I did a research. I found like 3 of them, but the one that pays the most is the one that I say Local Yoko. There you go.
Keep in mind that kind of opportunity kicks in when you're in the multiple hundreds of thousands of page views.
Right.
So that's there's a trigger point where you've got so much volume that, yeah, it starts making sense to say.
You know what, before we get questions, talk about though the group sales that you're doing for Kenny, for Broad Street.
Yeah, Broad Street is our ad server manager. There are 2 guys in Verona. They're great, and they provide ad server services to like 20 hyperlocals, and we have gotten 10 of them together, and are now at 1 million readers, uniques. And when the opportunity arises, I'm able to sell advertisements for the block of hyperlocal websites. And so it's a one-stop shop for, coverage for the half of the state of New Jersey.
What does that mean? I hear the words, but I'm not sure I understand what that means. What's
How
going
many
on?
Sorry.
sites are in it?
Okay, there's like 10 sites of hyperlocals like Hoboken, 411, Red Bank Green, Elizabeth Inside Out,
Cliffview. Cliffview.
Cliffview Pilot, and so they each have a website on which they want to sell ads. I've worked out with them that they will give me a big box ad on their homepage for X amount of dollars. So I got all the websites to give me that information. What's the cost per month? I added it all up, and to all the websites combined, I've got 1 million unique readers approximately every month. So I can go to, say, Hilton Hotels and say, do you want to advertise to Northern New Jersey? 1 million unique readers, here's the cost. And you're on 10 websites. So that's the concept. It's just getting off the ground.
So now she's the marketing agency.
Mhm.
That's how it is.
Right, and Baristanet is part of that. So I can represent Baristanet, I can represent 10 hyperlocals in what I call Broad Street Network. And the other thing I'm doing is I've been approached by some local school districts. This is the most exciting, I think, because they want to monetize the Board of Ed websites. And when you think about it, they have an incredibly targeted demographic. It's parents and teachers of kids pre-K through grade 12. So, think camps, tutoring, pizza restaurants, prom dresses, all those kind of businesses which would funnel into that demographic. It's a real easy sell. It's like shooting fish in a barrel, I say to my clients, because you've got this captive audience. So I'm selling web ads for them.
But you have, the school board?
Yes.
Tax?
Yes.
No, I'm being serious. A tax-supported organization, you're essentially going to be competing with private businesses in that town.
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
see the conflict.
You don't see the conflict?
No,
Okay,
tell,
that's fine.
Actually, I wanted to ask something. No, explain a little more because that sounds very interesting. But there is no now on my business part.
Yeah.
No, but how you manage that? Like having the Board of Education that they're gonna receive income for that?
yes, they are.
But
It's
that's-
discretionary money to buy new uniforms for the cheerleaders or to reupholster the seats in the
So
auditorium.
it's like a car wash or
Yeah,
something.
exactly.
Instead of doing that,
Exactly.
this is
Oh.
using the
Local
ad space.
businesses
Okay.
get to advertise to the school community. And because of my relationship with Kenny and at Broad Street, they are managing the platform and they interface with the IT people at the school and I load the ads onto the Board of Ed website on a weekly basis.
So you put the ads in the website for the high school.
Yeah.
Okay.
All
Or the whole
schools. Yeah,
schools.
yeah.
That's so interesting because I was PTA president for my district,
Mhm.
and our principal and district said we couldn't even promote any outside organization if there was no, especially if there was no parent affiliation to that company.
I know, it's very dependent on your superintendent.
Yeah, it's so interesting.
And the school board attorney said it's okay.
I can't.
I gotta tell you, if I was a
can't
small
fathom that.
business in that town, I'd have a problem.
The only
You would have the opportunity to advertise.
No, I wouldn't do it.
Why not?
I mean, not a small business, if I was.
The publisher, that's the only people who are stand to lose is a publisher, so, I mean, like, Barista Kids would be the potential loser in that situation, because it's the same demographic, so how does Georgette feel about it?
Well, because I'm the salesperson and because, and I'm a freelance, but I consider myself a Baristanet employee. And because most of the leads for businesses that go on the school websites come from Barista Kids, which is a parenting website, they're using our leads to generate, I'm using our lead to generate sales for the school district. So for my clients that go to Barista Kids and want that parenting, have that parenting product, this is a bonus for them. This is value added. Hey, Barista Kids is the best, but if you want to also get into the school district demographic, I can do that for you too.
And they can have both.
Yes, they can have both.
I can't.
And then so I split my commission with Barista Kids.
Oh, you do?
I was just gonna say, that means that the municipalities and the newsletters could start taking ads. That opens up wildfire advertising in the newspaper. I mean.
Well, because think about it, not everyone in our town has kids in the school. Not everyone reads the Board of Ed website for their news. It's only a little bit of news, right? So they're gonna get their news sources elsewhere.
Everyone does.
You don't have restaurant reviews and theater reviews and, local politics on your Board of Ed website. It's all about school. So it's a whole different.
I just know that in Highland Park, for example, these schools are would be the driver to my newspaper. I'd say 90% of the people are obsessed with what's going on in the schools right now, and I just can't fathom how that's legal. But that's all right, if you can.
Or you could
I mean, the
actually
one
put
thing-
an ad.
The one thing I would say is
It depends on the school district,
It
you know?
depends on the-
Yeah, and the one thing I would say is that we're in an age now where anybody can be a publisher, and we're gonna see more and more government agencies, school board, other places start to be publishers in their own right and selling ads against that published content. It's going to happen. So I think, we have to clearly define what we bring to the table that's different, which is, if you actually want accountability reporting about schools, if you actually want, there's a lot of things that you are gonna get out of journalism organizations. It's gonna be different with what the Board of Education is putting out on their website.
Of course.
And that's just one differentiation, but there's gonna be lots of ways in which we're gonna have to think really smartly about how we market our own sites to differentiate them from these other, new publishers that are coming on the scene.
I have a comment and a question. The first is that coming from a background where I've had, my family's had a retail business, a local gift store for the past decade or so, what you're saying is correct. You need to have something for each level. We have a very limited budget. As a rinky-dink gift store, we don't have the same marketing budget as, say, Ned Stevens gutter cleaner, who is in every Val pack possible.
Right.
So what we would often do is when Gannett would have a special, you know, for a Mother's Day special or something like that, that's when we would do our ad space. We would get it for the discounted rate to be part of their trolley or whatever special design that they had versus taking out a weekly ad. So having something for every need, yeah, definitely find out what that budget is and then see what you can work with it. One question that I was wondering was, I know in the past, a lot of ways that paper, more traditional newspapers do is that they make some money off of government listings, you know, legal ads, you know, the ones of, oh, this is a foreclosure, or that we're required to put this bid out, etc. Is there, has the laws been changed so that something on a electronic or online?
I can actually take that question if someone else, but I was actually thinking to go retro because of that. Why? Because I'm part of the New Jersey Press Association, and with George White would discuss by email many times that, do you think that this is gonna change? Because now the law, the statutes of the law say very clear that any money for legal advertising, which is a lot, when I say a lot, is you have no idea. In Union County, it's $500,000 a year, and nobody has the money. I want the money, but I can't have it because has to
be in physical print.
Not only that, has to be 2 years published, even before getting the money. I know that, but 100% because I did the whole research. So 2 years published even before getting the money, has to be weekly, 100% English, has to have 45%, I think, or 65%, I'm sorry if I don't recall, news. And the other thing has to have 2 years of subscription, second class.
Has to be
So,
audit bureau circulation.
Yes, you have to. So it's kind of very hard to go there. So I was like,
Guess who made up those rules?
the New Jersey Press Association, all everybody there. So I was like, do you think there is a way? He's like, no. As a matter of fact, for now, it's lack for 4 years.
We gotta wrap this up.
Okay, for 4 years, it's lack. So it's not possible that it can happen at least for 4 years.
Well, and this is an argument that's happening all over the country. What's gonna happen isn't that it's gonna go from print newspapers to online newspapers. It's gonna go from print newspapers to the state's website for free. So
Yes.
it's gonna be a way for them to save that money. So the idea that somehow we're gonna find a way to get that money to move.
It's not gonna happen, it's just gonna move. Okay.
Yeah.
Can I ask one quick question at the end? Your rates and how you determine those. Was there any flexibility? We're starting out, we're small, we're in a smallish community right now, say we grow exponentially. Can you adjust your rates as you grow?
Absolutely. I adjust my rates every day.
Okay.
Depending on who I'm talking to, and depending on if we have a surplus of inventory, I have a published rate sheet, but it means nothing. In order to close that sale, you know, if I need to wheel and deal, I do it.
Okay.
You know, the other thing to do is if they can only afford, you know, $200 for the month, but you really want to make the ad work for them, I say, well, tell you what, I'll give you an extra ad on this page at no charge. It's free. It's empty anyway. It's better to have all your ad zones filled, even if you're not getting paid for them. It looks better, and it makes your client happy. You know, and as soon as I sell that space, okay, I take it off, you know, or put it somewhere else.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it's kind of what the market will bear, what your competition is in print versus for prices, and what your page views and your readership is. You know, if you have zero readership, it's really hard to start out charging people. You know, if you have to have kind of a significant mass of readers to be able to charge them.
When you're going out and talking to your clients, they really want to know how many people are looking per day, who are they?
Page views, uniques, and.
So how long does it take?
How long?
At the beginning, then what's the point? I'm not really gonna do this.
You know what?
It's gonna be months.
It might take 6 months.
Yeah, and
Before you even start, is what I'm saying.
I mean, after you started publishing, to get
Yeah.
your critical mass of
Right.
readers, yeah.
well, keep in mind when we talked about the transition of Annette from reporter to salesperson, she moved over when there was already inventory to sell.
Yeah,
Right.
no.
So it wasn't 20% of zero, it was 20% of some kind of book of business
Right.
going forward. So that's an important, there's definitely a ramp up.
Yeah,
I think
it's
we've talked sort of one-on-one among some of the people about how do you get that started. And there's some techniques for, an event might be, Josh is gonna talk about events. An event may be a way to jumpstart your sales, to put some value into the community, to go out and say, we're gonna make you a charter advertiser on our site, we're starting off fresh, and you're gonna be part of the promotion, so.
Branding is very important. My husband and I are publishers of our own independent website called screwandlaker.com, up in the Adirondacks, screwandlaker.com. You can take a look at it. We have about 12 ads on there. But this is our third season. It's a 3-month economy. The revenue, I mean, the economy is very depressed there, but my husband and I have worked really hard for 3 summers now, getting our name out there. He's a reporter. He's a journalist, so he does all the writing, and it's in his DNA to report and be there, as it is mine. And it's the only local news source for that area in the Adirondacks. And after it was a huge learning curve because people weren't used to it. And they go, internet, what are you talking about? And now everybody in town reads us. I mean, we have there's 1,500 people in population year round. During the summer, it soars to 18,000. Okay, but during the year, we have like 3,000 readers consistently every month. That means all the vacationers that come, people from out of town, people Googling screwandlake.com or Screw and Lake or Adirondacks, we get hits from that. And so this year was the first year I sold ads, and it was a really hard sell. My base price was $50 a month, and then I had $100 a month and $135 a month. And those it seems like nothing, but that's 100% of the revenue going to you because you're selling it on your own. And it just really gives you a lot of street cred when you've got really important local businesses advertising with you. Our first advertiser was the Screw and Lake Arts Council, and that's a nonprofit, and they believed in us. Then we got the marina. Then we got the Siegel Art Colony, which is another not-for-profit. And we got the local brewery, the brew pub. And some hotels, some restaurants, and it all builds momentum. So you just and that came after 2 years of branding and putting our cards out and talking to people and going to the meetings in town and going to the events and taking pictures and all that.
But early on, I think was you that was saying that some of the advertisers don't need it for the sales. They're doing it to support you. And very early on, Adriana O'Toole was our first advertiser, Baristanet, a realtor. Realtors, not in the art world, but there are people who will support you for the concept, early on.
Yeah, at the last MSU event I was at, somebody said, early on, don't sell your stats, sell your story. And I just really resonated with me that you're saying you're coming in to do this because you see a gap and you're filling that gap and there's a need for you. And sort of selling that rather than saying this is how many people come to the site. I mean, you can have that number too, but it may not mean anything to a local advertiser or it may not be impressive yet. So really sell the story of why you're out there doing that, the service that you're providing, and what you're hearing from other people, that sort of storytelling aspect.
Yeah.
If I can say 2 quick words. One, that's how I sold my first ad. I basically said, there's currently no place online for you to advertise next to news.org that is not about people getting shot. This is a bright, shiny place for you to advertise against positive news. I wasn't asked about number, and I come from an advertising background. I'm used to people asking about results, traffic numbers, and I was shocked that I was asked none of those questions. That might have been an outlier, but I just, the person was a community person. This was a couple months ago. So yeah, community person of restaurant that I attended a half a block from my house, so there was a relationship there. The second thing is, I got this advice from someone that has actually worked for me a little bit. I've experimented with it just a little bit. I started selling what I was calling like a sponsored press release, almost like a local PR newswire. And what someone said to me is, you can actually invert the timeline. So instead of getting the audience and selling against it, you get the money by selling the story and use the money to go and get the audience. So you're like not out money. So what I would do is I would sell this sponsored post. I would collect, it was like the first one I sold was $15 or $20. I allotted $10 of that money to go on Facebook and buy sponsored sales. So when I ran the post, it got this fantastic result because I'd gone out and bought the actual audience. So I allotted 50% of the money to go and get the audience, but it sort of proved the result.
That's really smart.
So, and the idea was that as you build the audience, you kind of have to spend less to go get them, but
And
sort of, if
Yeah.
you can get away with not having the audience, you can kind of guarantee the audience without having them already, if that makes sense.
And then, do you have any sense of the conversion of how many of those people stayed with you?
I have not really. I mean, I did see some lift, but I'm not really able to attribute that to
So it'd be
those
interesting
people.
to
But
see.
I imagine, I have an email capture on my site, so when folks come, I capture their email addresses, and then that's how I'm kind of able to keep engaging. So I'm sure there was some lift, I just can't say for
So
sure.
it's such a great strategy for Josh to, look into and maybe scientificize a little bit more and then, use it for.
Did everybody else amongst us follow what she says? It was lingo that I didn't follow.
I'm
So what?
sorry about the jargon. You want me to kind of try
Did you
to?
guys, I mean, am I the only one we can talk later? If
Yeah,
everybody else
that's fine.
understood.
No, go ahead and explain it. I don't think. it's-
Sure, so, in this particular case, someone wanted to advertise, kind of like this cultural meetup thing that they were having. And so they came to me and they said, I want to put a link to a sponsored story, it's kind of like a press release. I want to put a link to the press release on the homepage of Brick City Live.
Okay.
And I said, sure, it'll cost you $20. So I put the link to the press release on Brick City Live, and then I went on Facebook and posted a link to that story on Facebook. They gave me $20, I took 10 of those dollars and ran a Facebook ad promoting that story. And so by promoting the ad, I was reaching more audience than was inherently coming to the site, because I was going out and actually paying to show this story to people on Facebook.
And you were actually doing an ad to promote the content that was on your website versus boosting a post or whatever.
Exactly, so
So
the
it
link
gave you
on
traffic.
Facebook brought people back to the website.
And you
Those
get a happy
people
customer.
then- Yep, those people then liked the Facebook post, so at the end of the day, after 3 days, they've got, maybe 100 Facebook likes. So that's a very obvious win for that advertiser after 3 days. Wow, this is really credible, I posted on Brick City Live and look at my success.
Okay.
Yeah.
So so I wasn't aware that you
Yeah,
paid
so-
Facebook to buy.
Oh, yes.
But
Yes.
anyway.
Facebook will take your money.
Yeah.
Okay.
And and presumably any number of other vendors that'll.
But actually, Facebook has a very powerful ad system.
Targeting, yes.
It's worth getting a Facebook ad account just to get your hands on it and see what it can do.
Okay.
It's
Yeah.
And for
unbelievable.
pretty little money, you can actually reach a good number of
You
people,
can filter
especially
it down
like
to-
$10 can buy a lot of people.
Yeah, zip
Gender,
code, gender,
money,
interest.
Geography, yeah,
Yep.
Yeah.
age.
Josh had a comment.
Well, I was just, that reminds me of finding strategies that are mutually beneficial. There's something that Twitter does that I haven't seen done at the hyperlocal level yet, and it actually struck me as a little bizarre at first, so I'm not sure how to apply it. But just to mention it here, there was Twitter has promoted posts, or promoted tweets. And so I saw a post that was like education story at the New York Times. And it was, the title of the story was Schools in Trouble, linked to New York Times story. And I said promoted by GE. And I said, why is GE promoting a link to a New York Times story? That's really bizarre. So I click on it, and there's a big ad, and that's the story for GE. So GE was buying advertising on the New York Times and then paying Twitter to promote that ad, but really promoting the New York Times journalism as well. So it's mutually beneficial.
And do you
for the
think,
publication.
was that a Twitter ad from GE or was New York Times?
It's a Twitter service, so that New York Times sells the ad and then can sell this as a added
Yep.
service. Twitter offers.
I think it's time to thank
Yeah.
these folks.
Yeah, thank you.
Take a break.